Hi everyone, I'm Shaheen from the Content Mix, and I'm excited to be here with Anna Ohm, based in Sweden, who is the Global Content Marketing Manager at Qmatic, which is a global leader in customer journey management software. Thanks so much for joining us, Anna.
Thanks for having me.
So can you just start out by telling us a bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So I might not have a traditional marketing background. I started out with a Master of Science in Chemical Engineering because I was really interested in chemistry and food chemistry and life science. And I worked within that field for about 7-8 years or something. But I felt that research is really interesting, but it tended to become too research oriented and not so much focused on what the customers would like and what they wanted to hear about. So I started thinking, like, how can we convey this message about all this great research to our customers and make them more interested in the products? So that made me move more and more towards sales and then also to marketing. And then a position within that company became vacant for marketing. So I asked if I could have it. And since, I had the experience of the company and the product and the sales, they figured I could work it out. So I just complemented with some courses in Creative Suite and the CMS that we were working in and stuff like that.
Okay. So that's quite a transition from engineering to to marketing. How do you think your background as an engineer has influenced your approach to marketing?
I think I have more of maybe an analytical mindset than a general marketeer. But I also enjoy the creative part because I was missing that before. So it's a great mix of analyzing, building up plans, taking them through execution, and being creative when you create the content.
Absolutely.
So it's a good mix.
So you're working at Ohm. Can you tell us a bit about your role and kind of what's the typical day at work like for you?
Yeah, so I'm the content marketing manager, and I'm responsible for demand generation, which means that I'm responsible for creating demand throughout the entire channel from awareness phase to close phase, which means, we focus most of our efforts on online demand generation through inbound marketing. But I also need to make sure that sales have the assets they need to continue to drive the buyers throughout the buyer's journey.
Okay. So, and could you tell us a bit more for those who don't know what customer journey management software is, just a bit? And I guess this is something that is relevant to your role as well. Do you use your own tool in your work?
No, not really. So, customer journey management is kind of a fancy term. So it's about queue management and appointment management. Let's say you're a customer and you're visiting a place physically, you have to go there physically. It's sort of difficult to think about these days when the situation is different. But a good example could be vaccinations now. And you need to get that appointment. And once you arrive, you shouldn't all be waiting in a big crowd. So you get these virtual tickets, for example, so that you can stay somewhere else and wait. You get notifications so that you know it's your turn. And so on. And this goes for if you're in the retail sector and you have customers coming and they shouldn't have to wait too long if you don't have the capacity to serve everyone at the same time. So it's about getting your buyers through the journey to get what they want. And there is also feedback apps, for example, so that you can improve and you can analyze how many customers you've had, how has it been, what staff was on that day, were customers more happy or less happy, and so on. So it's about creating that flow.
So it's managing the entire customer experience, not customer journey in terms of marketing and the touch points and so forth, but it's more holistic.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Well, then going back to kind of your responsibilities in content marketing, what could you tell us a bit about Qmatic's target audience and your channels for reaching the audience?
Yeah. So our audience is mainly senior management and mid-level management within companies in the retail sector, like shopping malls, for example, and then the public sector, those managing city halls and other government offices, and then within the healthcare sector as well, making sure that people get access to medical treatments. So that would be like patient experience managers, customer experience managers, IT managers, digital transformation managers, those kind of titles. So it's like, yeah, it's a very well educated audience. So you have to know what you're talking about when reaching out to them.
Yeah, definitely. So what kind of content are they interested in, and how do you kind of connect with your audience through content?
Yeah, so in many cases, they need guidance on what tools there are at hand. So they have a problem, but they don't really know how to solve it. So we have too many people coming in at the same time, or we've realized that our services are not good and we don't really know what to do about it. So a lot of the content that I try to create is around guiding them to what they need to improve, and not talk about the products themselves. That comes at a later stage. So making them understand the problem and what the possible solution could be.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have an example of like a piece of content that worked really well for you, or that was especially creative?
Yeah. So now during the pandemic, we had to think in new ways with our marketing and the way we present our products, because the context became completely different. Now, people still had to go for certain errands to city halls and to hospitals and so on. But we needed to put our products in a different context. And the more, let's say, virtual products became more interesting, like virtual tickets. So you get a mobile ticket in your phone instead of going and getting a physical ticket, which means that you can wait somewhere else. So we wrote a guide on virtual queuing, and that has been really popular. We launched it in April or March or something, and we still get loads and loads of downloads of that one.
Very cool. And how did you like come up with the idea in the first place? What was the process?
Yeah, so I have a colleague who is really great with keyword research. So we figured what terms we needed to look at, and we already knew from working with the product managers that this was the kind of apps and tools that would be the most interesting, looking at what kind of flows that customers would go through. So we had this product that we wanted to talk about, made that keyword research, and then so what are the challenges and how can we help, and put together the guide based on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think is unique or important to keep in mind when it comes to content marketing in your industry?
I think for any industry, buyers these days are very well informed. Maybe customers or business to business buyers as well. So you shouldn't underestimate your audience. You need to provide content with knowledge value in it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And you have any tips on how to do that and how to get the right people writing the content?
Well, yeah, that's always a tricky one, because you need to have, well, I think internally you need to have good cooperation with product management or R&D or whatever kind of product specialists that you might have, and make sure that maybe you can't ask them to write up the content, because it's a different thing to do. But set up interviews, for example, is a good thing. Ask questions, and if you're asking the wrong questions, they have to tell you what questions to ask, so that you get out the information that you need to write that content.
Cool. So kind of source expertise from within the team, from other departments, no?
Yeah.
Who are the ones who really know the subject the best, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was curious about your tone of voice. What's been your approach to tone of voice in your content?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, we sort of have a relaxed but correct tone of voice. But then the other important thing is that we don't see ourselves as thought leaders. We see ourselves as do leaders, which means that we don't talk about what we think and what might happen in the future. We talk about what we know here and now and what we can promise and provide to our customers here and now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a super interesting approach. What was kind of the idea behind that? Why did you take that approach?
I think there are several, but one important thing is that our clients, they need something that works here and now. You don't want to have any downtime and so on. And there are many players in this field, and we are the oldest one with very stable products, and we want. Well, that's our way of differentiating in the market to be that trustworthy source.
Absolutely. Very cool. And what do you think in general, like some companies get wrong when it comes to content marketing?
Well, I think it's coming back to that, that it couldn't just be any piece of content just because it is a video or it is a guide or whatever. There has to be some value in it. So making it valuable to the one who downloads it or watches it, so that you're not just thinking from the inside and making that glossy surface of your company. Always put yourself in the shoes of the reader or buyer on the other side.
Absolutely. That's a very good point. And then, well, I was curious about, so you're responsible for marketing worldwide. Do you work in multiple languages? How do you make your content resonate in the different geographies you work in?
Yeah, that's a tricky one indeed. So we start off in English on the global website. Most of the times we launch it on the English site first, give it like a week or something at least, just to see if there are any hiccups on something. And then we send it for translation, and we have, so it's ISEO, so that it should be optimized for search engine optimization in other languages as well. So that's on an external agency. But I talk on a weekly basis with sales managers across all our territories and see if they have any input. Maybe something doesn't resonate really well in their region due to some, I don't know, specific restrictions in the public sector, or healthcare looks really different. Then we have to tweak that and make something different for that market.
I see. So it's really like kind of collaborating with your sales teams in the market and
it
adjusting.
Is as well. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Well, kind of, so I was curious, going to your career advice, kind of like, what do you think are the most important skills for marketers today?
Yeah, I think you really have to be able to both be able to analyze, because there is so much data, and you have all these business intelligence tools like in your CMS or your marketing automation software or Google Analytics. So you have to be able, because management will definitely ask you for that, being able to report back on the progress of whatever you're doing. So not just looking at the numbers, but actually seeing what can I do differently to improve the results. And then the other bit, of course, stay creative. And it's not always that you have much at hand. There is not much of that content, but you have to be able to repurpose and reinvent whatever you're doing.
Do you have any tips for staying creative?
No, I think it's good to mix and do other things as well. I mean, I think just going out for a walk can be great for letting your mind digest everything, and maybe something pops out when you would least expect it.
Yeah, definitely. So giving yourself some time for reflection, which is
difficult
to do when you're on the computer all the time and you have all these distractions and demands. Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone like just starting out in content marketing today?
I would be curious and try out as many things as possible. There are so many apps and softwares, and so it's good to be curious and say, hey, can I try that, and try out different things, because also you don't know what you will like until you've tried it. So that, I think, is good.
And with your decision to kind of transition into marketing, are you like happy with that decision? Like,
yeah, I'm very happy with that. I get that great mix of creativity, fast pace, and then with some kind of base in the more technology, since now I'm in the IT business. I still get that input of the kind of more engineering stuff as well. And this combination of being analytical and creative at the same time, not having to choose one of them. That's the best bit, I think.
Absolutely. Totally agree. So going to some of your recommendations, so how do you stay up to date on marketing trends?
Yeah, so I try at least every now and then to run the HubSpot marketing inbound marketing certifications. I think they're really good. I learn a lot of new things, but also it's a great reminder of things that I might have forgotten or not paid too much attention to lately. So that's good, especially in the mindset of how you think. But also there are so many new things all the time, like new algorithms for Google and those kind of things to keep up to date with. And then I follow some blogs as well to hear about news in the marketing field.
Any blogs in particular?
Yeah, so I have one blog here in Sweden, but it's in English. It's called the Onlineification blog, and it's about how you transform your marketing into more and more into digital and on inbound marketing, but also these news about apps and the kind of tools you can use in content marketing that you might want to try out at some point.
Very cool. Definitely have to check it out. And we'll include links to everything in the blog post for people.
Yeah.
So, well, do you have a favorite marketing or business book?
Yes. So this book, I think the name is Inbound Marketing by the founders of HubSpot. That was the first book I read when we, in the company I was working at back then, when we went into inbound marketing and content marketing. And I think it really was an eye-opener in the sense of how you think, because it's not just a matter of how you do things. It's a way of how you think about it and how you think about your customers and where you put the perspective on your company, so that you're not looking from the inside, but more from the outside, and get that pull instead of pushing things to the audience. So that was really transformed my way of thinking.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a classic one, and I haven't read it myself, so I have to. I've definitely read tons of resources from HubSpot, but I haven't read the book.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder to put it back on my list. Well, do you have any favorite software tool or app right now?
No, I mean, in my work, then it's definitely HubSpot. I'm coming back to that all the time. But that's what we use on a daily basis, both for marketing automation and CMS. On the personal side, it's the health app in my iPhone. I want to make sure that I take enough steps every day, because working from home is it's tough. You need to make sure to go out and get some fresh air every now and then.
Yeah, definitely. So do you normally work from home, or only since the pandemic started?
Yeah. So I've been working from home now since March last year. So it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, like most of us. Yeah. So yeah, I totally relate to that. So I also just wanted to ask your professional role model or a source of inspiration.
Yeah, that must be a previous boss of mine when I started in marketing. He also has an engineering background, moved into sales more and more, just like I did, and then into marketing. And he managed to stay curious, even though he had all this knowledge in his backpack, that luggage with him. He was curious, and when we went into inbound marketing, we were all like open eyes, not saying like, I don't think this will work, and staying curious and open to new things. So that was a great role model.
Yeah, awesome. And so we're reaching the end of the interview. So I just wanted to finish off by asking if you have any parting advice for other marketers in Europe.
That would be staying up to date. It's a fast changing world, both in general and in marketing. But also, don't wait for that huge piece of content or launch that will change everything. Try to continuously improve and tweak and iterate, and you will get more and more into the direction that you want.
That's a great point to end on. So thank you so much, Anna, for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thanks everyone for listening in. For more perspectives on content marketing in Europe, check out veracontent.com/mix and keep tuning into the podcast for more interviews with content experts. See you next time. Bye-bye.